Hello, MJ7NLK here and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are looking at the Radioddity CB-27 Pro and how it compares to the Radioddity CS-47 and the President Build 2, which are ultra-compact CB radios. All three radios are expandable and we will cover the expandability of the 27 Pro a bit later on. You can also watch my videos on the other two radios by checking out my channel. In times of crisis, reliable communication methods are critical, and having the right tools can make all the difference. In this video, we will be exploring the key features of the CB-27 Pro and how it could be used as an essential part of your emergency preparedness kit. So join us as we delve in to see if it's a good budget choice for preppers and survivalists looking for a compact and mobile rig, ensuring that you stay connected when it matters most.
In today's unpredictable world, being prepared for the unexpected is more important than ever. The Radioddity CB-27 Pro is not just a radio. It's a potential lifeline that can make all the difference in an emergency. We explore how to maximize its potential with a tactical antenna and how to easily power the radio with an ingenious and flexible power delivery system. So stay tuned.
Before we continue, here is a quick message from this video's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay are makers of prototype PCBs of all kinds. They also offer services like PCB assembly, CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and injection molding. Manufacturing times are exceptionally quick and delivery is super fast. I've used their services on many occasions and PCBWay get an NLK-Media thumbs up for quality and service. Check out their website PCBWay.com for more information or follow the link in the video's description. Thank you PCBWay for supporting this channel. The CB-27 Pro comes in an unassuming brown box, just like the CS-47 does. The Build 2, on the other hand, comes in this very visually appealing box, packed full of shelf appeal. The CB-27 Pro is currently priced at £46.87. The CS-47 is priced at £74.22, and the Build 2 is still around £115. The CB-27 Pro is the second iteration of the CB-27 lineup. The original CB-27 non-Pro variant does not have Vox, so ensure you're buying the Pro variant if this feature is important to you. This radio is also sold by other companies such as Anytone or CRT, with the Anytone Mini and the CRT-1 Vox. It's been a very long time since I've got in a small box, so here we go. We get a very thin user manual, the radio, an accessories pouch with mic clip and spare fuse and accessories to attach the radio to the bracket. The bracket itself is painted, which is very nice, or powder coated. Nice to see they didn't cheap out there. Right, looking at the radio. Very familiar case, this one. It's used by pretty much all of these radios, but let's have a look around all the same. The case is used as a heat sink. There is a tiny little speaker on the bottom. We have an SO239 connector and a headphone speaker connector on the back. It is a fixed power cable, non-removable, with an accessories plug, which is nice. And the microphone, this is a bit of a shame, is non-removable. It is a fixed microphone. Would have been nice to have been able to remove that, but it is very small. The microphone is non-clicky, doesn't have a positive click to it like the CB500 does, but it is an up-down microphone and looks quite familiar. And I believe these microphones are quite good. So let's have a quick look at a comparison. So the CB-27 Pro, we'll compare that to the CS-47. You can see the similarities in the cases used and also the bill 2. So there are the 3 radios side by side. On the underside, speaker, and we have what looks like a larger speaker grill. They've just got a different base plate on the CS. God, it's getting a bit confusing now. On the CB27, and of course on the CS47, this is in fact a dummy speaker grill. The speaker for this particular radio is coming out of the microphone. So that's the comparison of the cases. You can see that all of these companies are pretty much using a very, very similar design. Feature-wise, the CB-27 Pro, it's AM/FM. It supports all European norms, including FM UK, which is great. It has automatic squelch control, RF gain control, Vox, channel scan, the external speaker jack that we looked at before. It's 12 volts only. We'll come on to how you power this in the field shortly, but the manual does say that it can go up to 15 volts maximum. And the power output is 4 watts in standard configuration. We'll have a look at what it does in expanded mode later. The CS47, on the other hand, this radio has NRC. It supports CTCSS. It has a 7-color display with detachable microphone. It's also quoted as drawing a maximum of 2 amps on transmit. The speaker is located within the microphone itself, which may be preferable if it's being housed in a backpack when used. The Bill 2, there's no NRC on the Bill 2. There's no CTCSS on the Bill 2, but it does have a front USB socket, which might be useful, and it's quoted as a maximum power drain of 1.7 amps. So, I mean, let's face it, the CS47 is the more capable radio. If your budget can stretch to over £50, then this may be the better choice of the 3. But let's have a look at the CB27 Pro now, and we'll see what the power consumption is on idle. So let's talk about power consumption and also the weight of these radios. Let's do the weight first. The CS47 weighs, as stands here, with your power cable, microphone attached and the radio itself, this weighs 464.53 grams. The CB27 Pro weighs 433.9 grams. And the Bill 2 weighs 467.46 grams. So the CB27 Pro is the lightest of the 3. Power consumption. So we're going to do idle and also when transmitting. This radio is in standard configuration and has not been modified yet, so I can't give you the power draw yet on that. The CS47 and the Bill 2 are both expanded, and we'll come to those in a moment. So the CB27 Pro consumes 0.1 amps at idle, and when transmitting in standard mode, 1.35 amps. The CS47 is 0.14 amps on idle, and in low power mode 1.29 amps, medium is 1.77 amps, and when transmitting on high power is 2.55 amps. That's the draw on that radio. And the Bill 2 idle 0.08 amps, so is the most efficient at idle out of the 3 radios. When transmitting, there's no way to control the power of this radio when it's expanded. It's high power only, and that is 2.78 amps when transmitting. So looking at the general radio operation, it's a very simple radio to use. You have 4 buttons on the front, and starting at the top left, you have the SQ button, which is your squelch control. Underneath that, you have A/F, which is your AM/FM switch. And then on the other side, you have your RFG button, which is RF gain, and EMG is your emergency channel jump. The dial on this side of the radio is your power on switch and your volume control. In order to change channels, you need to use the up-down buttons on the microphone. To set norms on this radio, you press and hold the AF button and turn the radio on, and then it will flash, and then you use your up-down buttons to change between your norms. So Poland, Germany, India, CB, CE, and we have U. And then you simply turn the radio off and turn it back on, and you're in that norm. Then you use your AF button to switch. We're in FM at the moment, and then we go to FM UK, AM, back to FM, and FM UK. So that's nice and simple. Now, to set Vox on this radio, it's a bit strange, but you have to press and hold the PTT button on the microphone and short press the EMG button. And then that will show you a little microphone symbol in the 0 there, and that is your Vox. Now, to do Vox settings, you need to press and hold the EMG button when turning the radio on, and then you will see L3, and you can adjust the settings using the microphone. And L3 is your Vox sensitivity, and if you push EMG again, it will take you to your time delay, your Vox time delay, and again you can adjust that. And then you can just push the PTT button and those settings have been saved. So very simple to use, not many buttons. So in standard mode, let's do the power tests. So this is on FM, the Euroblock FM, channel 20 midband. And let's see what we get. So we're getting about 3.5 watts there. And then FM UK, 3.4 watts on FM UK. And then switching to AM. Let's do a carrier test. 3.8 watts and a tone test. .13 watts on the tone test. So that's the standard power tests. Now, how are you going to power this radio when you're away from a vehicle? You could use a portable power station, but they are big and heavy and not very backpack friendly. You could purchase a 14.8 volt LiPo battery, but that is pretty close to the 15 volt maximum the radio supports, but it's workable. However, I came up with a neat solution. How about using the battery from a power tool like a drill? They're readily available, they're very rugged, and they come in different capacities, from 2 amp hour all the way through to 12 amp hour, and most of them have a very handy fuel gauge on the front. They would also serve multiple purposes in powering tools when not being used to power a radio. I use Milwaukee power tools, and in particular the M18 batteries. These are 18 volt batteries, so I needed to find a solution to stepping down the voltage from 18 volts to 12 volts. After a bit of hunting on eBay, I came across this little thing. An 18 volt to 12 volt step down converter specifically for Milwaukee batteries. This particular version supports up to 10 amp hour draw or 10 amp draw, has a power switch and fuse, which is perfect for this application. I've seen other versions of these step-down converters which convert, well, they support 12 amps in their total power draw, but they didn't have a power switch on them, so I went for this one. So this step-down converter, let's have a look at it, comes with a mounting kit, comes with a little Wago and some fuses, and then you get the device itself. So this part here connects to the battery, like so. You have a power switch to control the power feed. You have a fuse, and then you have the converter itself, which steps 18 volts down to 12. And then here is one that I was playing with earlier, and I've simply stuck the step-down converter to the top of this, and that just slides on to the battery and you can power your radio. So this is a standard, if I can get that off, this is a standard M18 battery, which is 5000 mAh, 5 amp hour. This will power a radio that is drawing 0.5 amps on receive for 10 hours, or for a radio that's drawing 1.5 amps on transmit for 3 hours and 20 minutes continuously. This is the biggest M18 Milwaukee battery currently available. This is the M18 12 amp hour Forge battery. They are not cheap, but the advantage of using a Forge battery is higher sustained power output, better heat management and faster charging, which extends the battery's lifespan. This will power a radio that's drawing 0.5 amps on receive for 24 hours, or for a radio drawing 1.5 amps on transmit for 8 hours continuously. In reality, unless you're my wife, you'll only be transmitting for half the time and listening for the other half. So that would work out to be 5 hours on a 5 amp hour battery and 12 hours on a 12 amp hour battery, if you're alternating between 0.5 amps and 1.5 amp. Step-down converters are not going to be 100% efficient, and some of the energy will be lost in heat through these fins. This particular converter allows for 17 to 65 volts as the input, and there is no mention on the listing of its efficiency rating. However, I did find another listing selling what appears to be the same step-down converter, which states that it's 96% efficient. I suspect this figure would be at the most favourable voltage, where the least amount of work is being done at 17 volts. So let's assume that it's going to be 95% efficient at 18 volts. The CB-27 Pro draws 0.1 amps on receive. So a theoretical, using the Forge, 120 hours or 5 days. Weight is also a key consideration if you're going to be carrying batteries in a backpack. The 5 amp hour comes in at 725 grams on my scales, and the 12 amp hour battery tips the scales at 1,500 grams. Adding 1.5 kilos is something you're going to notice in any backpack, but you have the option to pack multiple smaller batteries if you wish. A 6 amp hour Forge battery, half the size of this one, or a standard 4 amp hour or even a 3 amp hour battery, which is smaller than this. So here we have it assembled. It's very straightforward. The colour of the wires is a bit odd because this does look like a UK earth cable, but it is in fact the positive wire. So I've written here yellow plus. And then you simply connect the radio in to the Wago, snap it down, and that's it. Make sure the switch on the back is on, and your radio is powered and completely portable. So now we have the power sorted out, and I'm using the smaller battery. Let's have a look at antenna options. I wanted to make sure that the antenna used was backpack friendly. So I went with a Thunderpole TX Tactical 27 MHz BNC antenna, which is perfect for this. And it has been designed for use with the TX handheld. So let's have a look at the antenna. It's big when unfolded. So going to struggle to get this in shot. But let's see how long it is. It's about 110 centimeters, roughly 43 inches long. Now, how are we going to attach a BNC antenna? We're going to do that using one of these, which is a PL259 to BNC adapter. Now, I can put that directly on the back of the radio and plug in the antenna. Or if I wish, I can use a little pigtail, plug that in, put this on the pigtail, and then effectively put my antenna on here, which may well be what I end up doing. But the antenna will just simply clip on. So there we have our antenna with various mounting options. We have the battery pack. We now have all of the component parts. Why don't we go and give it a trial run? So let's pack the backpack. Antenna, battery. I might take the forge as well. Radio, microphone, step down, pigtail. That's it. Job's a good one. Let's go. Yeah, so the reception's good and the audio is nice and clear, is it? Over?
Audio's nice and clear, over.
Modifying a radio is at your own risk. You will have legal obligations in your region with regards to radio transmissions, licensing and power outputs. You should always ensure that you are not causing a nuisance or, more importantly, not causing any radio interference or distress to others. Please do not break the law in your region. The information provided in this section of the video is intended for countries that have higher than a 4-watt power limit. Laws do change, so ensure you have researched the current laws within your region. So you'll need to open the radio, and to do that you'll have to remove the 4 screws on the underside of the unit. You will need a Torx T9H screwdriver or bit in order to remove them. They're not conventional screws, and they have a the speaker wire here will be connected into this socket, so you can just pull that out. Then on either side of the face you have conventional Phillips screws, 2 of them. You don't have to remove these, but it just gives you a bit more room. So then you can pull the face away. Be very careful for this ribbon that you don't put any pressure on it and tear it. This will just give you a bit more access. And the point that you're interested in here is where I'm pointing to. There are 6 dots there, and you need to bridge those with solder in order to expand the radio. Now I'm flashing up on the screen now what those different options are. You have CB mode, normal 4 watt, which is nothing soldered. That's what we're at, or where we're at the moment. You have CB high power mode, which is FM 4, 8 and 15 watts, or AM 4 watts, 8 watts. by bridging one of them. You then have ham mode and HF mode. Ham mode is 28 to 29695 megahertz in 9 band blocks, A through I. And HF mode is completely unlocked, which is 24.715 to 30.105 in 14 band blocks, A through N, and that does include FM UK. And that is achieved by soldering both. So I'm going to expand and put it into HF mode. I'll do that and be back shortly. So that's it. We've soldered both of the points. And as you can see here, the best way to solder them really is to use leaded solder if you can, because the melting point is a lot lower. And then you just fill both holes either side with fresh solder, and then just put the soldering iron in the middle between them, and then just add a little bit more solder. It's only a tiny, tiny amount that you need just to bridge the 2 points together. So both have been done. We're in HF mode, and now we can just reassemble the radio and have a look and see. So now that the radio has been expanded, I've put it back together. There's some new things we need to do. So if I turn the radio on holding AF, you'll see that it's flashing D. Well, that's your band block. And as I move through the options, I can change my different band blocks until I get to UK. If I wanted FM UK, let's go back to D. So that's straightforward. That's fine. Now, the radio is still outputting on channel 20 FM. It's still outputting its standard power value. Now, I can't find an option to switch between low, medium and high power. But if we go into the service menu, which is done by holding RFG, EMG and PTT at the same time and turning the radio on. So we have to hold this, push both of these and turn the radio on. Okay, so now we're in the sort of radio service menu. It's not straightforward in here. If I push EMG, it will say medium, high, and then back to standard again. And the power values will change. So that's fine. Medium and high. Okay, so that's all well and good, but there's no way to save that. And I can't find a button combination in when the radio's in its normal mode to be able to switch between low, medium and high. There may be one, but I just haven't located it. So if I use the up-down buttons here, you'll see it goes 2, 3, and then we start hitting the menu options. Now, I don't know what all of these options are, so, you need to be careful in here. Write down your settings. If we go to FR and then key up, you'll see it says A5. Okay, and then whilst you're keyed up, you can push down or up for your buttons here to change the value. So we've got PN, which is the medium power setting. And if I key up on that, it's 6C. And if I wanted to increase the power, I just go up and then decrease, go down. And then we've got power low. Now the radio is obviously power low does affect power low. So if I key up and then it's on 4D, if I push the up value, you'll see that we can increase the power on the radio. And if we go up to, let's go up to sort of 15, 16, let's go to A0. Okay, then that will put the power low in its highest possible setting. Then we have FN, which will be the medium setting, I assume, of FR. And then we have a whole load of options, which who knows what they all are. I'm sure somebody will have a service manual somewhere that will explain what each of those options are. But the one you're interested in is PL. Key up and then use your up-down settings to set whatever power amount you want. Now, if I turn the radio off, turn it back on, we're on band block D. normal now, channel 20, FM. We're now outputting over 15 watts on this radio on channel 20. Now it's going to get warm. So just bear that in mind. It is getting warm now that I've been playing with the power settings. Let me get back in. So let's go back to power low and let's just drop that down to around there. We don't want to burn this radio out. But D, nice. Okay, let's go and take this to UK to get onto the FM UK band. So we're now on FM UK, up to channel 20. Nice. Now we should, if we turn it off and go back in, if we set this back to D, so we're back to our normal band blocks, you'll notice that we now have alphas as well, which is nice, 19 alpha, and we should have 15 alpha. So we do have the alpha channels. I haven't found an option for setting T0 for the 5 kHz decrement. I haven't found that option yet, but there's only 4 buttons, so there's only so much you can do. If you push and hold SQ and turn the radio on, it says RT. I can't do anything there, but it looks like it's a reset of the radio, resetting its settings. So that's what you do in the service menu. Go into the service menu, set your power level as you require, and then the radio is good to go. Okay, well, I have found the power setting option on this radio. You hold the PTT button, you push the RF gain button and turn the radio on, and it says power low, and you use power medium and power high. So that's how you switch between the settings. So I'll go back into the service menu, put the power low back down to 4D where it was, and then I'll come back. I'll do a full set of power tests on low, medium and high as it's defined in the radio, and come back and let you know what the numbers are. Okay, power results after modification. FM, band block D, power low 4 watts, power medium 7.5 watts, and power high 17.5 watts. FM UK 3.7 watts low, 7.1 medium and 16.3 high. And then we hit AM. Now AM only has low and medium. Power high is the same as medium effectively. So AM carrier is 4.1 watts low, 7.6 watts medium and 7.6 high. And a tone test was power low 15 watts, medium 18 watts and high 18 watts because they're the same. So those were the power results after modification. I wouldn't push the radio too far, probably leave it in the medium power setting at around 7.5 watts, and that will give you maximum on AM anyway, to give the radio a bit of longevity. But that's the expanded power test results. So in conclusion, out of the 3 radios, the CS47 is the better radio for this use case. It has privacy tones and codes and NRC support, and the speaker is in the microphone. However, it's £25 more expensive, but that is £25 well spent. If your budget dictates that the radio must be sub £50, the CB-27 Pro will do the job nicely. Using power tool batteries is a flexible dual-purpose option which allows you to power most radios out in the field for extended periods of time. The current draw on the radio whilst transmitting was 1.38 amps in low power after a small adjustment, 1.84 amps in power medium and 2.8 amps in power high. The 12 amp hour M18 Forge could power this radio for a significant amount of time and has more than enough power for any legal CB radio. The President Richard 10-metre ham radio, which is capable of 40 watts on FM, is quoted as drawing a maximum of 7 amps. So anything that draws less than 10 amps, which is the limit of the step-down converter. The Radioddity CB-27 Pro, paired with a tactical antenna and powered by a Milwaukee M18 battery, creates a powerful and flexible communications system that's essential for anyone wanting flexibility and an extended runtime. I hope you found the information in this video helpful. If you did, then please help the channel out by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. This really does help to ensure that I can continue to provide content. Please feel free to buy me a coffee. Details in the description below, and thank you to everyone who has bought them for me in the past. If you have any questions or comments, then you know what to do in the comments section below. All I ask is that you keep it respectful. Trolls and nasty know-it-alls need not apply. Well, until next time, stay safe, stay happy, catch you in the next one.